Video part 2 of the title is exchange for the mind, exchange for the body, exchange for the soul. So I made another video because it only takes 40 minutes. It could take more, but the writing stops writing, and the writing's useful because when I forget, I can go back and see what I forgot. So I was talking about this thing, yeah, and it's I've forgotten the name. I'm a bit rusty. I really remember the name back in the days because I was so mesmerized by what I acknowledged, and it took me a while to realize that basically everybody who had this spiritual awakening was spiritual. So I was saying in the other video is that spirituality, if you're into spirituality, you're probably going to have a synergy with the things that are connected to spirituality, like the hippie movement, yeah, like even any kind of real movement that's with veganism, which is Buddhism, Shaolin, yeah, and even yoga in some sense, and you know, even like some people are not vegan, like the Red Indian is a spiritual being. It's a strange one, eating animals, but you know, that was their way of dealing with things, and maybe they had no choice, I'm not sure. But for me personally, I think you'll be stronger dying for the animals than living for the human. Personally, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you was to die from not eating animals. I think you would probably remember your past existence. You know, like Dalai Lama or some of those people out in the East who can recall their life before this one. I think that would be the case. Yeah. Anyway, not sure, just a theory, but basically, let me checky where we were saying. Yeah, I remember now. I was saying about the synergy with the other environments that have coordination with spirituality. So if that was the case, at my time, being spiritual, young, how old was I? I was like, spirituality between 21 upwards, yeah, and I had peaks. Although I was listening to Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang's still a spiritual group, although it's an odd one, talking about profanity, violence, and all that sort of thing. If you really zoom in, they use a lot of terms that you have to have some connection with spirituality. Yeah, there's a lot of terms in there, and there's a lot of philosophy, and they are basically trying to fight for righteousness in maybe not such a traditional way, but certainly in coordination anyway, or parallelness. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons I connected with Wu-Tang, yeah, because when I heard those spiritual terms, subconsciously I subscribed, thinking back now, yeah, and it was true. Most of them are vegan, most of them are dealing with what matters, and they are a family unit that are sharers. They're not about the dismantling, they're about the upliftment, even though there are some quirky, funky things. But yeah, that was Wu-Tang. So those things I experienced at a young age, they really, you know, pushed me past the line of return. So even though I went back to eating animals after the spiritual awakening, which you could call which was 1.1. 1.0 was the first acknowledgement of the oblivion with this young man who we talked overnight till the sun rose, and my consciousness was changed forever. I had a consciousness. And I really hope you get to have that experience where you get your consciousness, because it's phenomenal. It was just words. Obviously there's some kind of spirit, like Rastafari says, words, earth and power and sound, yeah? Certainly, I can't explain it. I mean, like, it was the cleanest. If you know, I don't like to say drugs, I don't do drugs. Yeah, I may partake in plants that have an effect on your internal world, but I don't class them as drugs. I think drugs is a man-made thing that creates problems, and it has a stigma of that, and these things certainly don't do that. Yeah, and basically, if this was like a plant, this would have to be the most cleanest, because there was no. The only thing that was different was my soul. There was no effect to my senses, but my soul was like, I basically made a connection with my soul basically. Until that time, it wasn't there, because from the age of 0 up until 21, this world had turned me into a monster. This world turned me to be entertained by the things that are monstrous. It may not seem it to you now until you unplug, yeah? But when I had this connection, and I could feel that presence now, maybe I'm creating that energy, I'm not sure if it's anything else, but that was an amazing experience. And the funny thing is, you don't have to experience it every weekend or every day. One's just enough, yeah? One's just enough. Although I think I have experienced it more than once, because like I said, that was the 1.0 of the spiritual awakening. 1.1 now, right? So 1.1 is when I was actually a Rastafarian and I was vegan, yeah? And then I went back to eating animals again, yeah? And then after that, the third awakening, which you can call 2.0, because now it's that one is over now. We're into a whole new chamber. The second time around, I would say, happened, I created the spiritual awakening, yeah? So 1 and 2, which is 1.0, 1.1, that was kind of like an outside influence that put me onto the, or put me to the acknowledgement of the oblivion, which most people are going through. Is why, especially now, I'm going through a lot of suffering and pain, because they just don't know enough to maintain themselves. They'll be easily led, yeah? So yeah, 2.0, yeah, which is the third spiritual awakening, I was the engineer, because I knew spirituality is main stage, really, even though it's not main stage. I knew veganism is main stage only, even though I wasn't vegan, yeah? So after 1.0 and 1.1, I had experienced like the rebuilding. Remember I said that 1.1 was the crucifixion, the destroy and rebuild. Well, I knew from how I got rebuilt by probably the same entities that destroyed me. I knew, and I had new tools, new skills, new acknowledgement, new knowledge. Life was just completely easier. Plus, I was well trained before 1.0 by the same person who basically gave me my consciousness back, which we have at a very early age, and we lose through going through the experience of Babylon, yeah? So basically, I was in my late 30s. 1.1, I was in my early 30s. 2.0, I was in my late 30s. I was still eating animals. I remember I used to get the oxtail from the Rasta man, and it was a big ass oxtail with rice and peas, and in my mind it was delicious, yeah? And it probably does taste good if you are still connected to things of that nature, like vegan alternatives to animals, yeah? I know it's vegan, but anyway, that's another video. And yeah, sometimes it's not convenient going really pro-vegan, because you have to be really creative and create a lifestyle to not, because at the end of the day, the mechanism of food, you do need some gratification from the food, yeah? Some people say they don't, but look at their face. Do they really look healthy and happy? Yeah, that mechanism is there for a purpose, you know, that enjoyment. I'm not saying you have to enjoy everything. I'm not saying you will always enjoy every meal, even if you eat animals. But that's kind of like the go-to. Like, it's a mechanism. And you think about it, most of the things we do to survive, eat, sleep, shit, yeah, bring a child into the world, they all have some element of pleasure, yeah? Although pleasure would be a great lesson in school for the humans to start on, yeah, to have, you know, this understanding, because it really is a magnet and a center point in the majority of our lives and in the world. But we don't really have education on it and then things get a little bit abstract, corrupted, destructible. So gotta go back again. I think I was roughly about 2.0. So 2.0 basically, yeah, still eating animals, but knowing vegan is, I knew even when I went back to eat animals in 1.1 that this wouldn't be forever, because I just know. And this is what makes me laugh, really, is you're having to convince people to go vegan, yeah? Because I always knew, eating food and meat, getting the oxtail and rice, enjoying it, not even thinking about vegan, I always knew eventually I would be going vegan. And that's 1.0 and 1.1 has everything to do with that. There's no way, no matter what happened, I would have kept on eating animals. I just basically was going through something with this destroy and build crucifixion thing, and I thought that was clever. I thought that was clever, yeah? And so around 2012, 13, 14, 15, not sure quite when, I basically started watching YouTube, and I saw the reality which I never saw in 1.0 and 1.1 when I was vegan or vegetarian, because I was vegetarian first and vegan, yeah? Didn't see that reality. I just went because I looked up to the people who had the connection, who had the overstanding. I only had the understanding, but the YouTube gave me quite an overstanding of the reasons how important it is to be veganism, and you can't deny it. Some people will, yeah? But I'm not sure who the first people I saw, but eventually I started subscribing to Joey Carbstrong, Earthling Ed, Banana Warrior Princess, Vegan Revolution, Plant-Based News, and there was another surf dude. I was trying to find a snowboarder, vegan, and I liked him, man. He had vibrant energy, a little different, but great to watch, and he was really passionate about vegan, and I just connected with these guys because of the intellect. Yeah, I couldn't really find anything on YouTube, yeah, that stimulated my mind, but at the same time I wanted to I don't know, I just knew veganism was the thing to do. Just like, you know, you got a key, and you know, to your house, you know, you got to put it in there and turn it and go in. That's just how it is. And I looked at that as veganism, so I stuck around, and I wouldn't say I forced myself to watch it, but in a way, you know, at this time I was more into, a lot of the time I would spend my time watching Wu-Tang videos, skateboard videos, kung fu videos, and then the bullshit that makes you tap on it, they call it clickbait, those sort of uselessness, yeah? Yeah, the usual stuff, yeah? Kinda. So basically, in a way, I could say I forced myself to put myself through it, but it was no force. It was like, I knew this was right. Alright, fair enough, don't know much about it. And this is another thing that they should teach in school. Familiar and unfamiliar. If something's unfamiliar, it's going to be harder to digest. Yeah? Because it's harder to understand, it's harder to make the connection. Those three things, that's the trifecta, as my snowboard vegan would say. Yeah, the trifecta. I thought that was his name, because he was a dude, mate. He was a dude. I just couldn't find his channel. I couldn't remember his name. You know what I mean? I couldn't remember his name. I couldn't remember his channel. I think it was Snowboard Vegan or whatever. I don't know. I broke my neck looking for that channel and I couldn't find it, because I wanted to put it in the last video I made, which you may have saw. But yeah, he will get the message. Maybe not in the physical world, but you know, he'll get the message, man. But anyway, for some reason I had some kind of resonance with that. I don't know what that was, because it's just what it is, what it was. And basically, I used to watch them, but I don't think I forced myself. But like I said, being used to watching a load of those skate videos, Wu-Tang videos, kung fu videos, and I like spirituality. I like deep conversations or anything that basically resonates with, you know, a deeper meaningful things. Like, you know, where we're from, why we're here, and where we're going really turns my switch. But the thing is, there is a lot of people who have the title, but for me to digest what they're offering, they have to be into what they're talking about. And a lot of people have different agendas. Some are paying the bill, some it's trendy, or you know, whatever. But it wasn't often I really found anything like that, and the veganism kind of was like that, you know, how they was talking about right and wrong, righteousness, justice and all that thing. It was the closest to what I was looking to digest. But at the same time, I actually think in some sense I did, you know, make an extra effort to watch these videos. Like if it was out, I'd watch it, and I wouldn't just watch it and say, oh, I'd watch the whole thing. If you look on my YouTube playlist, I made playlists because, you know, you got to watch it and then you got to stop it. It's more convenient. Just what I would do is I just put them all in a playlist and I just play the whole playlist. And that is what made me make the connection. Not only with that thing, then I started getting into the environment things, you know, anything to do basically with what mattered. Yeah, anything to do with what mattered. I basically looked at that as vegan food, but for the mind. And I'm vegan now, so I'm going to eat it. And guess what? And I said this before I got into vegetables. I said, you know what? It's a probability. We're like a computer. That if you feed the computer the program, it will get used to the program. So it will accept the program. If you feed the computer the program, it will accept the program, get used to the program, and eventually crave the program. Crave the program. And I thought, you know what? I might as well just go with this, because I know eventually. No, that's not the reason. You already know the reason. But I'm just saying, I know eventually I'm going to start enjoying this food, and that's the fact. I love vegetables, to the fact that it would be hard to give up cooked vegetables, which it is, because I want to go to raw vegetables, which is even deeperness to spirituality. Yeah, and all these things though, all these things that matter, that you think you're sacrificing yourself to, because you're letting go of the things we think we love. Yeah, all these over sugary environments. When I say metaphorically speaking, you know, all the stuff that is just glitter but not gold. We really hold on to that stuff and really think that it's of value. So when it comes to forcing yourself this unfamiliar diet for the mind, body and soul, it can be like a job or a challenge in a sense, depending on how your synergy with it. And my synergy was good because I already was into deep meaningful conversations, which is an intel thing. I was really into deep meaningful conversations because it's an intel thing. Anything with intel, it had a synergy with, whether it was the environment, whether it was knowledge, technology, whatever. It's all very parallel because, you know, basically most things that are created take some intellect, and most things are created are parallel to the human and spiritual experience, because there's no other program. Yeah, there's no other colors, there's no other shapes, there's no other sounds. It's all parts that are connected. So you have to have some synergy with it, and it certainly does. And the other reason I mention that is because for you to value things like getting up early, cold showers, fasting, vegetables, environment, litter, all that, you have to have some intellect to know the value. Yeah, and one way of having that intellect and that value and that connection is force feeding yourself for something that may be unfamiliar, or maybe even a little bit not so fulfilling as the sugary stuff I was talking about earlier, that glitter that's not gold that we hold on to and is at the highest price and costs you the most financially, physically and spiritually at a cost you don't want to spend. Yeah. So me kind of force feeding myself this environment, those things I mentioned, veganism first I think it was, then it came into the climate change and the environment and you know, littering and but at the same time, before I went into all these things that are have synergy with what's right, what matters in spirituality, yeah, the things I mentioned, the littering, the environment, I always knew service is key. And number one, going through all the eating of animals, I did. Going through all the other things that are far from spiritual path, yeah, I still always knew about service. I still always knew every creature deserves the acknowledgement of respect. I've never been one to kill insects. Never been one to not have respect for other beings other than humans. And I've never been one to not be of service. Meaning, if I see someone who needs help, I'm going to help them. If I see, you know, and by saying being of service and being of help, that also means being polite. That also means being, you know, having a rapport with other people and trying to kind of be on the side of positive. Yeah, I've always kind of maintained that. Yeah, and people may say now, maybe not so, but I'm only not too innocent, not too people who are part of the solution. It's only people now who are at the other end of the part of the solution. They may not get this treatment of being, you know, upholding this positive energy, yeah, because these are certainly not positive times. But basically, yeah, so yeah, I would say there were some times that it wasn't as fruitful as what I was used to, only because it just wasn't familiar. Yeah. Now, 2020, things are totally different. Totally different. Whereas I would be happy to spend time watching skate videos, things of that nature that are, you know, they're entertaining, they're fulfilling in ways, but they matter, but in a different way than what matters. Yeah. The things that matter are far more easier to watch now than the things that don't matter, which is I'm totally back to front than how I started. Before, it was the things that didn't matter that took my time, and it was the thing I wanted to give my time to. Now, if I see certain things on Instagram that really matter, you know, someone suffering, something to do with the environment, development, you know, something that's going to make us evolve as a species, I don't want to watch no skating video. It's the furthest thing from my mind. Yeah? So the main reason for this video is to show you, if you want to be happy, if you want fulfillment, if you want self-esteem, if you want not only the things you want but the things you need, you may want to put yourself through something you may think is not for you, but it's right. As long as you know it's right, yeah, as long as you know it's right, but it's not as edible as the stuff you're used to, because you're used to the stuff, why it's more edible. First of all, make sure it has something in there that you resonate with, because everybody's waving the flag that they got info, that they can do this and that, and trust me, it's a small percent. Although in the vegan community, it's a big percent. That's the reason why I made that connection with those group of people I've mentioned, because they had what I resonate with, which was the intel. They was intellectuals, yeah. Which it's just one of those switches that does it for me intellectually. You know, and I'm telling you this, it comes from a development. It comes from development. I never really was into books. I never really was into college, university, or what stuff, which they probably were. But I was into spirituality, and that's an intel thing as well. And that's where I could connect with this environment of intellects. And that increased my options, my things to subscribe to, yeah. And life is way more fruitful, way more easier, because I am subscribed to the things that matter, and I've exchanged it for the things that don't matter, that seem like they mattered. But when I exchanged it for the things that mattered, everything changed. Like, I couldn't explain how easy things are for me, and I've got so much against me you wouldn't even like to walk in my shoes for 20 seconds, yeah. But I guarantee it, at the end of the day, I'll have more done and more fulfillment, yeah. And I would have done not only more for myself but more for the planet, which means spiritually I'm going to be richer, yeah. I can't really know a way to paint this, but I would say, if you believe in what I'm saying and you feel what I'm saying, maybe give it some thought, because that's the reason I made this video. Because I know people, I can tell you go vegan, I can tell you this, I can tell you that, But if you don't have some guidance, you ain't got much on your side, because the main stage, the majority of the world, yeah, not only oblivion to that, but they can't connect with that. So with me just saying, do this is good, veganism is good, recycling is good, not littering is good, yeah, being a positive role model, being of service, yeah, treating all beings as you want to be treated, because these are the things that are basically paying me so much. I'm not that concerned about money, and I've been in environments and I've had opportunities you would have given your right leg, yeah, you would have given your right leg to have, yeah. And I put spirituality first every time, all the time, and that is just how it is, yeah. As much as there is some kind of doubt in the air now as we speak, it's only because I'm live on the air with you. If it was just me, I know what the truth is, and I say that every time I speak on the video, because there is a slight AI, yeah, when the record button is on, you're going to put it on some kind of platform, yeah. AI, artificial intelligence, we are in synergy a lot of the times, is why sometimes you might not see certain people, because they don't want that synergy, yeah. Alright, so I don't know, I think that is what I really wanted to say. This video is 26 minutes and the other video was 40 minutes, yeah. So I'm not sure how many parts, and I'm not sure if it's over, because I'm going to listen to this eventually, and there's more than likely stuff I missed, but it's been cool and I have to go. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Goodbye.
Music.